Thank you for checking out this video from SundaySchoolPros.com. Today we're going to be looking at 5 tips for a brand new Sunday school teacher. Well, once again, we're looking at 5 tips for brand new Sunday school teachers, but hey, maybe you're not a brand new Sunday school teacher. Maybe you've been in the classroom for decades at this point, but you're just looking for resources to get better and to enhance and hone your skills. And so my prayer is that these 5 tips are a benefit to you and that they help you become the Sunday school teacher that you want to be. So number 1, the most important thing that you can do for your classroom is to pray for your students. And I know it sounds a little bit cliche. Of course, we're in Sunday school. We teach the Bible. We need to be praying for our students. But sometimes that gets swept under the rug or that falls down the priority list. Let me tell you, prayer is the most important thing that you can do for your students. If you're praying for them, praying that God will open their heart to understand the Word and praying just for their day-to-day lives, you're going to fall in love with the aspect of discipleship and discipling these students. So pray for your students. Now I'll tell you a real world example for me. When I first got involved in Sunday school, it didn't go very well at the beginning. I was really just out of high school and I had been thrown into a Sunday school class, and I'm so thankful for it at this point. But I remember being in this class and it didn't go well, and I didn't have the students' attention, and it was just not a good morning. And I left the church that day thinking, I really don't want to do this anymore. I want to get out of Sunday school. I want to get out of kids ministry as a whole. That's just not really for me. And as I was driving home, I remember the specific spot on the road where I felt like the Holy Spirit just challenged me to pray for those students. So I did. I prayed for them. All week I prayed for them. And by the time Sunday rolled around the next week, my perspective had completely changed. I had a heart for those students. I wanted to see them develop. I wanted to see them grow. So the number one thing we can do as Sunday school teachers is to pray for our students. But beyond that, just take an interest in their lives. Learn who they are, what their interests are. And so some of them are going to play sports or they're going to do other things. Really get involved in their life. That way you can have the ability to pour into their life. So number 1, be invested in your students. Pray for your students. Number 2, come prepared. Show up Sunday morning ready to go. Spend time in your Word. Look over the topic that you're talking about this Sunday morning. A lot of times your church will provide curriculum or content like that. Don't just depend on that curriculum. Don't just depend on, well, I'm just going to read the teacher's packet. I'm just going to go from there. Spend time in your Word, specifically on the topic that you're talking about on Sunday morning. That way you're familiar with. You can go above and beyond whatever the curriculum says, and you can tailor that lesson to some of your students. If you've done really well with point number 1 and you've really invested in your students and you know your students well, you can read your Word, read the curriculum, and you can be a really effective Sunday school teacher. So number 2, very important, be prepared on Sunday morning. Number 3, create a positive classroom environment. Now, this is going to be really easy for some students. Some students are going to walk into your classroom and they're already going to be comfortable. But then there's other students who it's just going to take time to be able to build that atmosphere, build that environment where students are comfortable to share, to open up, and to talk. Now, there's 2 sides to this. The first thing is work really hard to create an engaging environment. Don't let the Sunday school room just become like this storage room / Sunday school room. Really try to clean it up, make it look like a classroom. You got to think, our students today, they're used to public schools, private schools, charter schools that have really, really good learning environments. So their standards are very high for what a Sunday school learning environment should be. So let's try to hit that. Let's try to clean up our classrooms. Let's try to show up a little bit early to make sure that we have a space that is conducive to a learning environment. Now, the other side of that is just creating an atmosphere where students feel like they're comfortable to be able to open up and be able to talk. Again, that's going to work really well, really quick for some students, and then others, it's going to take some time to really nurture an environment where they feel comfortable to open up and share, and that's okay. But work hard to create that environment. Number 4, keep your lessons engaging. Look for ways to incorporate arts and crafts. Look for ways to incorporate storytelling. Look for different ways to reach your students. Every student is different when it comes to this. And sometimes, you're not going to hit every student with a story, or not every student's going to get the most out of a craft. But if you keep it a variety, if you keep shaking things up a little bit from time to time, you're going to do a really good job of reaching all of your students. And so number 4, keep those lessons engaging. Work really hard to be creative. Even pray about it. Ask God, how can I be creative in this lesson plan? Act some things out. You know your kids, you know your students better than I do. And so think about who your students are, think about your audience, and what would engage them the most. And really try to apply that to your lessons. And number 5, the last point, hey, you got to be flexible. Look, sometimes things don't go the way we think they're going to go. Sometimes the projector doesn't work. Sometimes multimedia doesn't work. We've got to be flexible, and we've got to be prepared for the unexpected. Be prepared to adapt your lesson plans based on the needs of your students. Maybe you've prepared one way, and then a group of students comes in and you think, well, this that I prepared is not really going to hit them the way I want it to. But if I do this, I can pivot over here, and it's really going to reach this group of students. Be prepared to be flexible on that end. Remain flexible in your approach. Be willing to modify your activities or pacing as necessary to accommodate varying learning styles and preferences. Embrace those teachable moments that may arise spontaneously during discussions or activities. If a student wants to open up, or maybe it's one of those students that it's taken some time to really get them out of their shell, be ready, be flexible for when that moment pops up to take some time and really invest in that student's life. And it's going to make you a Sunday School Pro. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Hope it was beneficial. Like and subscribe to this channel, and drop some comments there. Give me some tips and some things that have helped you in your Sunday School approach. And maybe together we can all help one another become Sunday School Pros. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time.